Welcome, everyone, to the One Degree Effect podcast. Before we get started, let me ask all y'all a question. Imagine you wake up tomorrow with complete control over four things. Every word that you speak, every emotion that you feel, every dollar you spend, and every thought that enters your mind. For most people, that sounds impossible because I was one of those people many years ago, still working on it. But if we're honest, most people struggle to control even one of those things. But over 2,000 years ago, there was a man who believed mastering these areas was not only possible, but he believed it was the only way to live a truly free life. And his name was, I'm going to get this messed up, Epictetus. Epictetus. I've been practicing. I've been diving in. Well, the two books I've been really diving in. Besides Think and Grow Rich, every morning I've been reading the Bible. And my coaches at Andy Elliott's Lions Den, when I onboarded with them in their brotherhood, they sent me this version of the Bible. It's John Maxwell's Leadership Bible. It is the Bible, but there's sections after you read that just kind of dives in there and like helps you decipher or kind of understand how you can apply those stories from the Bible from a leadership perspective. And we're all leaders if you're a spouse, a parent. But the other one I've also been diving into more on the weekends is this right here. It's Meditations, Marcus Aurelius. And there's a lot of stoic mindset strategies in this book. Both of these books have been instrumental, along with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I talk about it all the time. I read that or listen to it once a year. I've been diving also into Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil. I've been telling all my clients to re-listen to it, reread it. But I've had a big impact on my content and my way of thinking. And I challenge you all to kind of get into those as well. But going back to that story, Epictetus was a slave, ironically. And I want you just to think about that for a moment. Just process that. He was a slave. He had no control over his body, no freedom of movement, no control over his outside circumstances. He was literally owned by another human being, and really soak that in for a second, okay? So, but yet, this man discovered something so powerful that it transformed from being a physical slave into one of the most influential teachers of mental freedom in human history. He taught something radical. Even for back then, probably even for right now, no one can hurt you without your permission. No one can hurt you without your permission. Now, when people hear that, including me, they sometimes think that sounds harsh. But what he really meant was this. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can definitely control how you respond. And inside that response lies your power. There's in our book, You Have Infinite Power. We reference Viktor Frankl and Man's Search for Meaning. That book. That's another powerful book. This is very much in alignment to that. So not to deviate off today's topic, but that's another book I would highly recommend. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Super powerful, very much in alignment to what we're going to teach today. So officially welcome to the One Degree Effect podcast. Yes, I'm Coach Paul Malella. I'm a solo today. This show is all about small shifts that create massive transformation. And like I always say, one degree changes in the way you think, 1 degree changes in the way you lead, 1 degree changes in how you live your life. Because 1 degree may seem small in the moment, but over time, it changes the direction of your life. So this is the life philosophy behind everything I teach in 1 degree coaching. It's also deeply connected to the life philosophy that I teach from my mentor and my susunim, Grandmaster Kim, and you constantly hear me talking about il shin, which means be better every day. It doesn't mean be perfect. That means be better every day. And today we're going to talk about those 4 areas that will determine the quality of your life. Your mouth. Some people can't control what they say. They just can't do it. Even in professional settings, they just can't control it. It's unfortunate. Their mood, which sometimes is really hard for me too. Could be an emotional puppet. I'm working on it. I'm getting better to kind of separate and detach your mind, your money. You master these 4 things and your life's going to change. I guarantee it, or it's going to improve. So talk about the modern prison. Think about that. Most people today aren't physically enslaved, but many people are mentally enslaved. They are enslaved by their reactions, their emotions, their impulses, their spending habits, and most of all, their thoughts on how they think. People say things that we regret. People do things that they regret. They allow a bad moment ruin the entire day. And believe me, I am one of those people. I could completely be an emotional puppet at times. They spend money that they don't have on things that they don't need. I've been there too. Until God takes everything away and you have to rebuild everything all over again, right? And their mind constantly spirals with, like in my book, I call it FAD, fear, anxiety, doubt, right? Worry, anxiety. But the truth is this: the same wisdom that freed a Roman slave thousands of years ago can free you and I. And it begins with mastering these 4 areas, right? Your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. So let's dive into pillar 1. Master your mouth. Man, I wish I knew this when I was a young kid and a teenager, a young adult. But there's an old saying: the tongue weighs almost nothing, but it can cause enormous damage. But here's what many people overlook: your words do not just affect other people. Your words shape the person you become. Words have power. What you say, what you think goes out into the universe. It frames out who you are, who you become. And the Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote something very profound as well. Every time you speak, you are ending one version of yourself and beginning another. And some of my content this past week, I kind of also quoted Bruce Lee. He talked a lot about that as well. I just want you to think about that. Every sentence you and I speak is shaping your identity. Every single one. You may not believe that, but it really is. It's impacting you. I remember, right, when I was younger, I used to joke, literally. I used to joke about myself all the time. I'm not tall enough. I'm not good enough. I'm terrible at this. You're going to mess this up. You're second best. You're not good enough. You're not. And I used to always joke in a weird way. People laughed, including me. But even though I was self-conscious about stuff, what I didn't realize back then was something that was the most important thing. My subconscious mind wasn't laughing. And I do teach this, right? Consciously, we all have the ability to choose consciously. Your subconscious, it only accepts what you and I give it. It can't reject. It only accepts. Okay. I want you to understand that. So it's like literally like this camera. This camera is zooming on me. It's nowhere else in my office, just me. And you all will see the only thing I give this camera where it's aiming at. And that's how your subconscious responds. It only will accept what it's given consciously. And it was listening. And every word became my internal old programming. Every joke was becoming my belief, my paradigm. And over time, those beliefs began shaping how I saw myself. And I call that in our book, paralyzing paradigms. They're limiting beliefs that I basically created inside my mind. And the Stoics practice a simple discipline before speaking. And I thought this was so powerful as I was reading this. leading up to my show today. They asked 3 questions. So if you're watching this, you're listening, let's write this down. So grab a pen. Here are the 3 questions. Whatever's saying in your mind, like whatever you're thinking, whatever other people say about you, doesn't matter. Whatever you're processing. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Let me repeat that again. Is it true? Is it helpful? And is it kind? If the answer to any of those questions was no, they stayed silent. They kept their mouth shut, or they didn't say it out loud. Now, mastering your mouth is not just about avoiding negative words. It's also about intentionally using powerful ones. So words do have power. Words have encouragement, words of gratitude, words of truth. Because your words and my words don't just communicate your thoughts, they will shape our thoughts. Okay? So we have to master our words. Okay? Pillar 2, master your mood. In our book, You Have Infinite Power, I talk about in the attitude chapter about are you an emotional puppet? You know what I mean? Like, how many of you, when someone says something you didn't like, you got pissed off? They do something that wasn't congruent with your values, you got pissed off. They did or didn't do something, they broke your rules, and you got mad. You know what? We were being what I call an emotional puppet. Someone was pulling your strings. We reacted to that behavior, and they controlled us. They had power. We did not have power. So let's talk about mood. Most people wake up every morning and they allow literally the outside world to determine their emotional state. I'm guilty of like driving, and traffic and other drivers will literally used to control my mood. Maybe it's your boss, your partner could control your mood. Maybe your bank account controls your mood, just depending on where it's at. But the Stoics believed something very different. They believed emotions are not created by events. They are created by your story, your interpretation, how you perceive everything, how you frame it out, the meaning that you attach to it, right? Even Marcus Aurelius, right, once wrote, you have the power over your mind, not outside events. I want you to realize this, and you will find strength in this. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But man, this is super hard. Okay, I just want you to think about that for a moment. Events themselves are neutral. I'm going to say it again. Events themselves are neutral. Your interpretation gives them meaning. How you define the meaning. What does this mean? And then you're framing out that meaning, right? Someone doesn't text you back. Your mind creates a story. They're ignoring me. They're upset with me. They don't respect me. But there are dozens of other possibilities and explanations. Maybe they're busy. Maybe their phone died. Maybe they're just dealing with something difficult. So mood mastery, I'm going to say it again, mood mastery begins when you and I realize that you and I and God is the author of our emotional story. So you're not a victim of your emotions. You are a creator of your response. You create it. Let's go to pillar 3. Master your money. All right, let's talk about money for a minute. Most people believe wealth is measured in dollars, and very much well could be. A lot of my clients will say that, including me. But the Stoics believe wealth was measured in discipline, and I love that. Love it. It's measured in discipline. Think about how many financial struggles come from impulse spending, emotional decisions, short-term thinking, and real wealth begins with self-control. Seeing something you want, but you don't need. Choosing discipline over impulse. Choosing long-term growth over short-term gratification. So your relationship with money literally reflects your relationship with your self-discipline. And discipline is built in small moments, right? And We're doing our best to teach our two teenage kids that. We get the bill from Kiana, and she's in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm like, damn, girl, first of all, you picked a private school. It's double the amount of every other school that would have been in state, and you're out state, even though it's 2 hours away. But then she's kind of like going out getting sushi in the middle of the day and living this Savannah elite life. I'm like, yo, you can't be doing that. You have a beautiful campus. There's beautiful cafeteria. It's pretty sick food. There's no need that you don't need to be doing that stuff, and then when you calculate what that girl's spending, and even my son doing Uber Eats and stuff, it gets crazy. Two teenagers, so we're teaching them about budgeting, about discipline, and, being smarter with everything. But that's a big thing for a lot of people. Let's talk about pillar 4. Master your mind. I think this is the most important, if you want my humble opinion. This is the most important pillar is your mind. Our mind controls everything. It's the source of everything. You and I, our fear, our confidence, our doubt, our vision, our faith, our fear, right? It's literally, it controls one or the other. And the sad part is most of us, or most people, live as prisoners in their thoughts. They believe that every negative voice that's talking shit to them, they believe it. I keep on saying this all the time. I do this exercise where I have my clients create several different voices, and there's some negative ones and positive ones. And most of the negative voices are back, like when we analyze and we self-reflect, is like from our childhood, right? You hear me talk about second best Paul, being 11, 12 years old, never being good enough. And then I have easy target Paul, the kid that was bullied, wise ass Paul that was a teenager, super skinny, overcompensating. If these kids come walking in my office and start giving me advice or talking smack to me, I laugh at them. I ignore them. I would not listen to them. They have zero credibility in my world. But the Coach Paul, the Grandmaster Malala, or the version of me in my 70s and 80s, I'm taking advice from that man, right? I take advice from people that have already succeeded, that have the life that I want, have the mindset that I want. I will take advice from that person. But we walk around with these voices all day long. We wake up with these voices all day long. We go to bed with these voices all day long. But yet we listen to them. We don't laugh at them. They actually dominate us. And I say it. And if you listen to the book Outwitting the Devil, or read that book, which I recommend you do, you'll understand what I'm framing out here, right? That's what I believe. But we all have a negative voice inside our mind. And then here's the thing, though, is especially help my clients become aware, right? That's the first step. Become aware. Once you do that, it changes everything. Literally changes everything. When you begin to really observe your thoughts, like consciously analyze your thoughts on a daily basis, you realize something powerful. You're not always those negative thoughts. You have to be an observer of your thoughts. You almost have to make believe like there's a security guard standing in front of your mind, right? And it's only allowing, like a big bouncer. Just think of a huge bouncer, have black shirt, has security on the back, whatever that. And any thought that comes in, any opinion that comes in, it could be from outside people, doesn't matter. That security guard's going to protect and see. This thought's good. This thought's bad. It's not allowed in. Sorry, you don't got a VIP pass today. That's it. You have to observe, right? And you hear me say it. This is a catch it, scratch it, erase, replace. Some people think that that's a stupid thing, but it's not. It's real, right? And that basically means you can change them. You can change your thoughts. You can interrupt those negative patterns. And neuro-linguistic program is called pattern interrupts. So it's not Coach Paul just making shit up. This is like literally human psychology. And you can replace that fear with clarity and faith. You can replace that doubt with belief, right? And confidence. You can train your mind. I'm telling you, you can train your mind the same way you train your body. Okay? This is all ill shin. This is all about being better every day. But a lot of people don't self-reflect. They're not that aware. Everyone reacts right away without fucking thinking. They don't process that. And even if you do make a mistake, you actually take time to step outside your ego and go, man, what did I do? That stuff that I said, or did I hurt that person? Some people don't even have that awareness. They can't even go past their little nose. They take zero accountability, zero accountability, zero responsibility in becoming a better human being. That's why they remain stuck. That's it. They remain stuck, and they just loop the same behavior. And then they wonder why the results aren't improving, or people are slowly becoming aware and going, man, I can't be with that person. Toxic, right? It's not about being perfect. It's about being better every day, right? That's ill shin. Isn't that what we want? Just be better each day, not remain stagnant. No one's perfect, but that's how you grow. 1 degree improvement, the way you speak. 1 degree improvement on how you emotionally control yourself. 1 degree improvement in your discipline with money and your finances and your spending and your saving and investing. And 1 degree improvement to manage your thought process, to consciously catch it, scratch it, erase, replace. Man, these small shifts compound over time. And eventually those small shifts create massive transformation. And you will be better. You will be. People are going to notice, and you'll be more aware. You know when you get really good? I tell my clients all the time, I share, you get real good when you start catching yourself, your thoughts, your responses. But when you get real good, as you listen, you get to hear how other people speak. And you're like, man, that's stinking thinking. Man, that's a paralyzing paradigm. Man, that's a toxic person that's gossiping about other people. Man, you become aware, right? I don't like the way that person speaks about others. Man, I don't like the way they frame that out. And you become aware. And that's the first step. So real freedom is not having unlimited choices. Real freedom is having the discipline to make the right choices consistently. And you're all gonna mess up, but then when you do you have the at least the decency to step outside yourself and analyze and say, how can I improve? What I said, what I did wasn't really the best version of myself. And then do a better job. Ask for forgiveness. Some people don't do it. No. But you got to, right? Master these choices. Master your mouth, master your mood, master your money, and master your mind. Because when you become the master of those 4 things, you begin to master yourself. That's power. And when you master yourself, you begin to live with intention, with clarity, purpose, alignment. That's the 1 degree effect. Small daily improvements that change the entire direction of your life. That's ill shin. That's being better every day. So if this episode resonated with you, I know this is a rip it and ship it one. Share it with someone who could benefit from hearing it. And if you're committed to becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, make sure you follow our show. Never miss an episode. Share it with somebody. It's the biggest compliment we're going to ever receive, because here at 1 Degree Coaching and the 1 Degree Effect podcast, we believe the smallest shifts can create the biggest transformations, and the journey always begin with 1 decision, 1 degree. Be better every day. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Be blessed, y'all. Thank you.